welcome back. Are you excited? That's pretty impressive, actually. It's been a long and intense day, and I will admit it's warm in here, so that level of excitement is good. I'm excited. We have a great session for you now. We have 3 speakers any of whom would be worth listening to for an hour on their own, but you get all 3 of them, which is a complete bargain. I have their books to wave at you. First of all, we are going to hear from Ruby Wax. Yes, author with a neuroscientist and a monk of How to Be Human, which is obviously a life skill that all of us need. And then, in case that wasn't enough, we're actually going to be joined on stage by 2 other people with amazing books, so we can have a big conversation about all the themes. We have Ziad Marar, author of Judged, and Julia Hobsbawm, author of Fully Connected. And me, I'm Timandra Harkness, but my book is really irrelevant to this session, so I haven't brought it to wave. You will have the chance to put questions again using Slido. But first, really she needs no introduction, but since I've just dropped the books on the floor, to distract you from that, I'm going to give her an introduction anyway. Ruby Wax, OBE. That wasn't impressed enough. We'll try that again, I'm sorry. Ruby Wax, OBE. That's more like it. Writer, performer, and mental health campaigner. Author of 2 best-selling books, Sane New World and A Mindfulness Guide for the Frazzled, which combine neuroscience, mindfulness, and comedy. Currently launching her Frazzled Cafes, which I hope we may hear a bit more about later. And this is her new book, How to Be Human, published in January this year, which asks the thorny question, in a world which is increasingly online and beholden to technology, what does make us truly human? Ladies and gentlemen, Ruby Wax.
I was just thinking that when I tell people in America that I have an OBE, they think I have like a cystitis infection. They go, oh, I'm so sorry. So I've stopped saying it. Anyway, hi, I know you're dying in here. I'll just talk quickly, because we were going to do an interview, but it's too hot. So do you mind sitting there? Or do
you mind me sitting here?
We'll just make funny gestures, when I'm saying something amusing. Or do deaf speak. Go on.
If I could,
just improvise.
I would,
just improvise.
No, look, you've made me self-conscious now. I'm going to go and lurk off to the side, and then when you want me to come back on,
I'll go like
your
this.
Eyes at me.
I'll go like this.
I'll do that. That would also work.
All right, I'll just quickly give you how I got to this position. I worked in TV for 25 years, and then I suddenly found that this is not about this book, I'm just giving you a little history. Then I found 12 years ago, suddenly I was made poster girl for mental illness, I wasn't really going for that one. And I'll just explain how it happened quickly, then I'll come up to date with the book. Comic Relief asked me if they could use a photo of mine to raise some money for mental health charities, so I said it was okay, but I thought they were going to, tell me if I'm talking too fast, but I know you guys like fast. So anyway, I thought it was going to be a teeny little photo of me, that you'd never see again, but they put huge posters of me, giant posters of me all the way down the tube station, huge, and they said on it, 1 in 4 people have mental illness. Yeah, no, it's worse. 1 in 5 people have dandruff. I have both. So I was mortified, right? Anyway, it's beyond explaining how horrifying that was. So I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a show, and I'm going to pretend that's my publicity poster. Yeah, so I had no show, but I wrote one about mental illness, my people. But I didn't want it public, because who wants to be reported back then? Now, of course, if you've got a disease, use it. And get an OBE. Who knew? Anyway, I wrote the show. I did it in mental institutions for the next 2 years, just to try it out. And I think they liked it. I couldn't tell. They weren't always facing forward. Some of them looking there or on the ceiling. But I used to say that the bipolars would say, I laughed, I cried. I made that up. And I had a huge following from the psychotics. They love me. They still write to me. I'm going to kill you. but it's a fan base, so that's okay. Anyway, so what would happen, I'm just going to do this quickly. I would do my show, then they'd all go out for their meds, interval, whatever, tubing, come back in, and we'd have question and answer. And wherever they asked unbelievable questions. One woman asked me, how do you get a poltergeist out of a Hoover? Okay, but what happened was, I got to go fast, otherwise she'll come back. The show took off, and it went to real theaters, so it went everywhere. Real, with normal people like this man who's looking at a screen as a woman talks to him 3 feet away. Down. He's back on it. Anyway, so what happened was I took the show to real theaters, and I'd do the same thing. I'd do my show, then there'd be question and answer, and people, wherever I took the show, whatever continent, were going on about the same thing, that they felt their lives were out of control, that they were going at top speeds, they didn't know how to stop. Their brains were constantly giving me these terrible reviews. I could have, I shouldn't, I didn't, I screwed up, which is a relief, because I thought I was the only one that thought those things. Really, I've never had the thought in my head, never, that said, what a wonderful thing I'm doing. And may I say how attractive I am today? I never got that. Okay, so what I thought I'd do is I'd write a show called Frazzled, and it would be for everybody, because everybody's frazzled. Not just the 1 in 4, my people. You know who you are. Bang. A few clusters there. If you can hear another voice beside mine, you're my people. So I did a show called Frazzled, and I dealt with, first of all, what does it mean? Here's the deal, is that now in this society, we're getting stressed about stress. It's us. We're sabotaging ourselves, but we like to point the finger. It's because of the iceberg melting, or it's technology. But the conflict's in our heads, and we project it onto the world. The bully is not out there, it's in here. Inside of our heads, I wasn't going to say that there'll always be war until we declare a truce in our own minds, but that's going off sideways. But anyway, what I thought was to discuss what the nature of this thing is that's burning us out, especially when you can't see the enemy. So first of all, should I explain? You've heard this before. Okay, stress. We're supposed to be stressed. Stop bitching about it. We're supposed to be. Otherwise, we'd be in some Darwinian graveyard. We needed the oomph. So, back then, hundreds of thousands of years ago, I'll just take you through it a little bit. We were, if a predator came along, okay, this part, for the part deep in our brain called the amygdala, this thing, it would activate and it would gush cortisol. So we'd be able to take it on, right? Or skedaddle. And then when the incident was over, the predator went down, and we'd know the results because either we were lunch or we were having lunch. We'd know. Big clue, if we were still in existence, the cortisol would come down, amygdala deactivate, we'd be fine, just like all animals. We're no different. Those Attenborough films, where a lion jumps on a gazelle's back and the gazelle gets away, and it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't have to, go on antidepressants. It doesn't need crisis intervention. It's fine. Just it sits there grazing. Once in a while it gets mounted. Anyway, it's part of the job. So now it's grazing and it's mounted. Doesn't even have to stop eating. I wish I could do that. Anyway, in the world we're in, we're always fried because we can never just graze. Because in this world, we're always looking around, what's going to nix us next? Is it going to be North Korea or too much salt? Which one? Or my boy, or it might even be Donald Trump. My gift. Oh, while I'm on that, can I just say, did anybody ever see my interview with Donald? Yes. 3 people. 3. Do you know who I am? Anybody? Okay, I'll fill you in. You can see it on YouTube. Just Google it. Not now. Anyway, I interviewed him. I'll just do this quickly. I interviewed him. He took me in his private jet. We were at about 33,000 feet, and he told me he wanted to be the next president of the United States. So I started laughing. So he says, land the plane. I want her out of here. So the pilot lands the plane, and I'm now in Arkansas. No plans on going to Arkansas with the camera crew. Yep, no visas. So the rest of the show is I have to look for Donald, so we go from state to state to state. And I finally hunt him down. He's judging a beauty contest in Nebraska. And I was standing really close to Melania. I was standing right up next to her, and I could hear the ocean. Nothing. Nothing. No, we're wired, I'm telling you. As humans, everything is a threat. You know, I don't know if you know this. I can hardly say it. About 2 weeks ago, I finally, somebody reports to me, a woman was eaten by a python. Did you read it? Like, I have to know. I didn't even see it on the television. You know, it just comes, it's a meme. It comes through the ether. It only happened to her once, but I have to watch it continuously and hear about it on a loop tape of the breaking news. You know, in slow-mo, then close. If you miss a word, don't worry. Somebody will Twitter it to you. Fine. Anyway, the point is, and if you think physical threat is bad, social threat, obviously, is much worse. You know, now if you get a few too many thumbs down because somebody doesn't like what you had for lunch, it's worse than being eaten. As humans, we can only take so much. So basically, you know, if your computer broke down, you would know what to do. You'd know what to do. You shut it down, you reboot. You know, if it has too many windows open and it crashes. If we crash, because we've got too many windows open, and what I mean by that is multitasking. Oh, and by the way, no animal can multitask. No animal. Have you ever seen a gazelle smoke a joint and play the piano at the same time? I don't think so. Anyway, if we break down and we crash, nobody knows what to do. There's no instruction manual. Nobody tells you. So my next book is How to Be Human, the Manual, which I wrote with a monk and a neuroscientist who've become impossible now, because our book did really well. The monk is now, I'm not kidding, will only fly business. Fucking hell. And he has become, he's become the face of Lufthansa. I can't make that up. It's obnoxious. I never work with dogs, children, monks, or neuroscientists, is all I'm ever saying. Anyway, this is about the new book. So I think before the future comes, we should really make figuring out who we are as humans and what's good about us as humans a priority. And if somebody has trouble knowing when the future is here exactly, I have this quote. I didn't make it up, but I'm going to say I did. Okay, this is where the future is. 1 billion hours ago, modern Homo sapiens emerged. 1 billion seconds ago, the IBM personal computer was released. 1 billion Google searches ago was this morning. So pretty soon robots are going to put our heads in snow globes and give it to each other for Christmas. Remember I said that. Really, we're going to be a thing in the past. They're going to hold up an elbow of ours and go, what do you think this was for? And laugh. Laugh. So we really should now find out what's the good bit about you being human. You know, what made it worth it? I mean, why are we so brilliant? Brilliant in some areas. We know how to make an app that gives you bunny ears, for God's sake. But we do not know how to stop our brains from telling us we're not good enough. You know, no matter how successful you are, you're just not pulling your weight. Why we think like that, I haven't got a clue. You know, I was wondering, who started the rumor that being human meant to be perfect? When do we start having those expectations? I mean, this is why so many of us crash and burn, not from disease or war, but because we've let ourselves down. Let's just remember, in the big evolutionary scheme of things, we're still a work in progress, okay? We share 98% of our DNA with great apes, 30% of our DNA with yeast, and 25% with bananas. So get over yourself. So I'm here to tell you, after researching the subject, looking back on our evolution, and this should give us all relief, is that we're not meant to be well-adjusted. We are not meant to be perfect. We're supposed to be flawed, every one of us. That's what comes with the package. Just look at the person next to you. Just look to the right and the left. Totally flawed. Do you see that? Underneath all the sparkle, they probably feel just as fucked up as you do, okay? And they are, because that's how we are. So don't take this personally. This isn't your condition. This is a human condition. Part of my confusion is that I thought is this, that each species, our species improved with each generation, which I assume that meant we become better adjusted, we become happier, but I was wrong. It turns out we only physically evolved, only to deal with, the next challenge. So we got up off two legs because we couldn't crawl any faster, our knees were killing us, and we women were breaking too many nails. We got movable thumbs, for some reason, I don't know why. Anyway, because we didn't have any claws or teeth, that's why we grew these human extensions. Extensions of mass destruction. We were always partly tool, That's what the thumbs were for. So we became experts at making these tools, from your wood spear, your basic wood spear, to your nuclear spear. And we've gotten more and more savvy on how to defend ourselves from the enemies outside, but no clue how to stop this constant nagging mother in your head giving you a trillion reasons why you're such a flop. But can we not be hard on ourselves at the same time? Because the way we're made is nature is only interested in sticking around for you to create an egg and crank out the next generation. How you feel about it, it doesn't care. Evolution only cares about our survival. It doesn't give a shit about our happiness. And just one more glitch. If you understand your glitches, we can forgive ourselves. And that's our ultimate salvation. All right, just another glitch is part of our brain is still primitive. It's the same brain we had 400,000 years ago, and it provides us with the basics, which we need, to breathe, swallow, hump, sneeze. So way back then, Eat, Pray, Love would have never made it as a bestseller. The bigger hit would have been Eat, Fuck, Kill. Anyway. The problem is that our primitive brain is still there, and it's still Stone Age. It isn't aware that the wallpaper has changed. Our brain hasn't got the bandwidth to deal with the complexities of the 21st century. And then 200,000 years ago, here's what really made us crazy. We got a new brain on top of the old brain, which is in charge of, the best of being human: self-awareness, rational thought, problem-solving, compassion, the works. So it's maybe not like a new head. It's more like a Maserati humping a VW. It's a new one. So this is how we are. We're part savage, part genius. And the sooner we accept that, the happier we'll be. Now is the time to hug our inner ape. Acknowledge that the old gladiator instincts are still alive and well within us. We've always loved watching other people's pain. Right from the Eat the Christian game shows in the Coliseum, right through to the X Factor, which isn't a million miles from the idea of a lion eating a slave. But at least the slave didn't have to sing, thank God. We always had this. Otherwise, why would things, on YouTube, things like somebody making the best darn apple pie in Idaho doesn't get any viewers, but, Granny being shot through a canyon, 24 million. It's always been this way. So how do we humans improve ourselves to become better humans? Not just smarter ones, we're smart enough, but more compassionate ones, which is the only way we're going to survive. And I don't know if technology can do that. It's not each man for himself. We work as a team. That's how humans work. A mother builds its baby's brain through the pouring of this stuff called oxytocin. If the mother isn't there to give it that bonding thing, the baby doesn't grow, the brain doesn't grow, and the baby dies. So we really do, we work together like neural Wi-Fi. Whatever state I'm in, and I guess that's my first book, my second book, and my third, is that we do have the capability to use this higher brain. If I can calm myself down or get the red mist down, then I pass that state to the next guy. Then I pass it to my kids pass it to their friends to the community to the planet. See, to me, that's being really politically responsible. I always say, fix yourself and then go save the world. Because otherwise, it's like you're carrying a grenade, and someday it's going to detonate, and you're going to spread your madness all over everybody. So this is where I'm going back again. We're the conflict. Stop pointing your finger at technology. And by the way, we put it there. It didn't land in your garden like a meteorite. So, I think physically, as I said, we evolved far enough. We've got our full set of thumbs. We don't need any more. We don't need to go faster, thanks to Uber. But if we're going to survive, we're going to have to upgrade our brains as much as we've upgraded everything else. I mean, really, we've done a wondrous thing with technology, but now it's going to be fine without us. But really, in order to navigate the noise and circumnavigate the chaos, we're going to really have to take the throttle of natural selection and evolve ourselves, which we can do. So pretty soon in the future, it won't be so much survival of the fittest. It'll be more about survival of the wisest. So that's it from me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you. Where should I sit?
If you'd like to sit right there.
Sit here.
And then we will welcome the other two panelists onto the stage. I shall introduce them, and then you can welcome them. They're sitting there already. First of all, we're going to hear from Ziad Marar, who is the author of Judged. I hope he's not feeling too judged, because he's not an OBE yet, but there's still time. And he is a thinker, a philosopher, and a publisher. He's the author of 4 books, combining his interests in psychology and philosophy. He's also the president of global publishing at Sage Publishing. So his books are The Happiness Paradox,